The Team VVV Awards 2018, sponsored by Ben Green Racing and Thrustmaster. Hello viewers and welcome to the first podcast of the VVV Awards 2018, where we look at all the games released in the year of 2017 and vote on what we consider to be the best on all those that we've tested. I'm Alan and I'm joined today again by Martin.
Hi guys.
And Kevin.
Hello. So
kicking off, first award of many is the best surprise of 2017, of which we have 5 titles that were nominated there. We have MXGP3, WRC7, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Wipeout Omega Collection, and Motorsport Manager Mobile 2. Interesting selection. So, chaps, we're going to kick off with MXGP3. And certainly it was one that sort of came out of nowhere and sort of had the amazing step forward in sort of graphics and physics. Martin, what was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we didn't really have particularly high expectations for it because, let's face it, MXGP2 was a bit of a step backwards. I think, MXGP3 completely redeemed the series and was really one of the best bike games in quite a while, I think, for Milestone. Obviously, it was the first Milestone game we've seen powered by Unreal Engine 4, and that just completely transformed the game for me. In terms of visuals, Milestone had been kind of lagging behind the competition a bit in terms of visuals and sound. And MXGP3 was the first game that really stepped up the game, I think. Obviously, we've also got the terrain deformation. This was really lacking in MXGP2. In fact, worse than the game before it for some reason. But no, in MXGP3, it was really, really impressive. You really felt the bumps this time. It completely transformed the track over time. Really solid effort, and just a massive, massive step forward.
Yeah, Kevin, what were your thoughts on it? You played quite a bit of MXGP3.
Yeah, I mean, I put in actually more time with 2, and so I really got sort of to grips with number 2, and then going from 2 to 3, you could really feel that sort of track deformation, which, like Martin said, sort of went away in number 2 compared to 1. So it was, as soon as you get on there, you're struggling against the various ruts, so it's with 2, I found with experience you can put the bike where you want it. You could have a wide line like a traditional racing line, you can apply it to MXGP2, whereas with 3 it was much harder, so you had to really put a lot of timing with the game to get to grips with the sort of deformation, how you can make it work for you as opposed to against you. So initially when you get on to 3, it's like, wow, how do I put the bike where I want to put it, like I did with 2? It was just so different. It fundamentally changed the whole feeling of the game, and so it was such a good step up. And of course, visuals, like you said, Martin, you switched to Unreal Engine 4, and it did look good, but in some places I felt it looked a bit muddy, particularly at the starting lineup. The game does look a bit blurry, a little bit muddy in terms of visuals, but improvements in visuals overall, improvements in sound. So it was a fantastic step up for the series. I'm very much looking forward to number 4. Which I would like to see a little bit more sort of bells and whistles added to the season, because it's getting a little bit on the stale side now. But yeah, certainly MXGP3 was a fantastic step up for the series. So yeah, looking forward to 4.
Yeah, well, like you say, it was one of those games that I think we didn't know they were going to move to Unreal Tech. It unlocked a lot of potential for Milestone as a company moving forward. So it was really signifying the direction of the company, besides you were saying about the track deformation and other physics and audio improvements as well. So a surprise of 2017. Next one now, continuing the off-road theme, is WRC7. And this was a game I saw, first of all, at E3 last year. I went to the stand, I tried it out and thought, wow, this is a radical change. And I made a few videos at the time, and I said, wow, I've been really, really surprised at the quality of WRC. It was one of my games of the show last year. And then I wondered, is it just me? Is it the hype of E3? Have I got wrapped up in it? And then when I played the final game, I realized, no, it's just as good as I remember it at E3. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Improved visuals, incredible step forward from Kiloton in terms of what they've achieved with improved physics and stage design. Certainly a big step forward. Kevin, you've been playing a lot of WRC. What were your thoughts on it?
For me, it's a fantastic title. When I first got to grips with the game, the 2 things that stood out for me with WRC7, if you put the environments to one side for a moment, the core things for me initially was the weight of the cars and the force feedback. Now, You know, is WRC7 the best handling game? Does it have the best force feedback? Well, probably not, but it does it well enough that the two things complement each other wonderfully. So you have this, you know, traditionally in rally games, you can sling a car around. You know, it doesn't have that feeling of weight. It doesn't feel like you've got a ton of metal around you. You know, it just feels like you're playing a game rather than having some sort of level of simulation. With WRC7, I found that it had a lovely sense of weight to the cars, you know, particularly when you're using a racing wheel, it always elevates the experience, of course. And with the racing wheel, you get that wonderful force feedback, and you got that constant level of vibration. So it felt like your tires were actually sort of making grooves through the surface rather than, you know, floating on top. You had that sort of tactile feedback, that constant rumble, which, along with the sort of very sort of satisfying handling, it made for such a good experience. And in terms of reviewing it, I gave this game an 8, which was the highest score I'd actually given a racing game to date from the reviews that I've done. That's how much I enjoyed WRC7. So that was, you know, it's more than, you know, it's more than has its place here, and the best surprise. It certainly does deserve a place here. Fantastic game.
Martin, what were your thoughts on WRC7?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible just to see how much progress Kiloton has made in such little time. You know, when you consider that WRC5 was released, you know, only 2 years before WRC7, it's quite an incredible achievement just how far they've upped their game, really. Especially when, you know, it's an annual series, we don't really expect massive leaps forward necessarily in annualized sequels. We're used to seeing quite incremental updates, but the WRC7 was quite a big change from the last game. I think for me, what really stands out, as well as obviously the improved vehicle handling, it's more of a simulation than before. It's just the sheer intensity of it. I think a lot of rally games don't always convey that very well sometimes, but with the stage designs here were so, you know, so much more realistic than before, so much more, you know, a lot narrower. You know, you really did you really did fear every corner. You know, what's around the next corner? You know.
In some respects, there's quite a few parallels between MXGP3 and WRC7. They're both they're turning into annual releases now.
Yep.
And in some respects, you know, that they both have massive step ups this year, which is great to see. You know, but also I find with both these titles, they need to innovate a little bit more on the career mode now, which seems to be almost like a copy and paste job each year now. So, but because they've you know, they've really fundamentally changed the game in terms of you know, physics and graphics. That's good enough, I feel, for this year's iteration. But for next year, I'm hoping to see a little bit more added on to the career mode, a little bit more presentation, you know, just to give you that feeling of being in the real sport would be a nice touch, for example. But I'd be looking forward to seeing what they do next year, because both of these titles have been amazing.
You've got really solid foundations now, haven't you? Basically,
yeah, certainly. I mean, a couple. I think more stages. I just wanted more. That's the only thing I wanted about W. It left me wanting longer stages and more stages, and also the replay cams. I just want them to do proper replay cams. Certainly something that affected the esport as well, and I think they need to sort that out. So that's something for the future. But either way, a big surprise for the year. Certainly, we weren't expecting that much of a step forward. On to the next one, surprise of the year. We had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch. Now, I've played Mario Kart on the Wii U, but Martin, this is predominantly your domain. Tell us a bit about Mario Kart 8 and why it's one of the big surprises of 2017.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yeah, well, what can I say? It's one of my highest rated games of last year, funnily enough, which I think is a surprise in itself, in some respects. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is when it was first announced, I didn't have high expectations because your immediate assumption is, you know, I've played that before. It's a port of a 3-year-old game, just to pad out the kind of launch lineup of the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
but they really did go that extra mile to actually improve on the previous game. It wasn't just your typical lazy port, you know. So obviously it bundled in the DLC from last year, which makes it a very good value package overall. I think a lot of people otherwise would have probably begrudged paying full price for an older game. Alan, you'll be happy to know they've improved the frame rate as well by 1 frame.
There we go.
And they also actually added a fully fledged battle mode. Obviously, veterans of the series will be quite familiar with battle mode from the SNES generation, etc.
Loved it. Yeah.
In the Wii U, it was very much it's very stripped down compared to before.
Oh, I remember the complaints. Yeah.
It just felt like a complete afterthought. What they did, they just adjusted some of the normal racetracks and adapted it for battle mode, and of course that just doesn't work. You need dedicated arenas, and
Yes.
they've actually added those into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And honestly, it's some of the most fun I had last year in a racing game. And also just the ability to play it in handheld mode, absolutely incredible. It's a console quality Mario Kart game in the palm of your hands, literally.
Yeah, I mean, well, Mario Kart's always a classic, isn't it? And Nintendo really know how to make great games. We know that anyway. Incredible heritage, and they've just, like you say, brought all the elements together. They've maximised the use of the hardware and produced arguably one of the best games of the year. And I think that's what's, in a way, it's surprising, and it's not, isn't it? I mean, a Mario Kart game on one hand isn't a surprise, but it is a surprise when they manage to surpass even themselves in terms of the overall quality. And I think
it runs absolutely beautifully as well. In terms of just overall smoothness and visual fidelity, it is absolutely stunning to look at. And I think too, in terms of a package, like, it's better than many other console racing games. I think there's nearly 50 tracks, unique tracks, not just reverse layouts and stuff like that.
That's more than GT Sport.
That's a lot more than GT Sport. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very impressive. So Mario Kart 8 then, big surprise of the year. Certainly Martin will be playing it for some time to come. Now, the next big title that came out as a surprise was Wipeout Omega Collection. This is one we didn't know anything about until probably about 8 or 9 weeks before launch. And it's just, suddenly a news article in April saying, maybe or May, saying Wipeout's coming out in early June. And it was a big surprise for everyone. Wipeout Omega Collection combines 2 Wipeout games. Which ones is it? It's Wipeout 2048 and Wipeout
HD.
Fusion, Wipeout HD. Yeah, and of course, I haven't played some of those since they were on the PS3. Of course, Wipeout 2048 had all new graphics, and it was very impressive visually as well to look at.
That was the Vita release, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It was a stunning game to look at, and the improvements are amazing. And I think it's nice that Sony is still keeping that heritage of the title. I may not like the handling of it very much, but that's another story entirely. But either way, visually, it's pretty stunning on the PS4, and it contains a very large package. So that, I think, was a big surprise in terms of this year. And I think going on to the final title now, which is Motorsport Manager Mobile 2. And again, this is one that was reviewed by Tim, and he's a big fan of Motorsport Manager. He's been playing it across all formats. And basically, this is, they made Motorsport Manager, which was a relatively simple game. Then they made the PC version of it, which was fantastic. I mean, it was sort of a life sucker, as I call it that. You could put your life into that game, and there's so much rich depth. And then they took a lot of the assets and visual elements, and they brought that back to a new mobile version that contained pretty much everything you'd want it to contain. In fact, I think it was 9 out of 10, along with Mario Kart, one of the top rated games of 2017, because it did everything that you could do at that point within reason. It was really a very impressive game. That's not to say there isn't always room for improvement, but certainly the team did a phenomenal job. So a big surprise, only £3.99 as well. What a bargain. So there you go. Motorsport Manager Mobile 2. So there you have the 5 best surprise games, racing games of 2017. So now it's the time for us to consider what we feel should be the winner. Martin, give me your considerations.
Without a doubt, WRC 7. Just one of the best racing games of last year, as far as we're concerned. Like I said earlier, it's considering the time frame, just absolutely unbelievable improvements, frankly. So yeah, WRC 7 is a definite winner for me.
Okay, so it's a WRC 7 from you. Kevin, what's your feeling?
Yeah, so for me, the two that stand out are MXGP 3 and WRC 7, just simply because although they haven't really innovated in the career mode, they've raised the other core aspects such as the handling and the visuals and the sound as well. So for me, those two are pretty much equally as best surprise for me this year.
Well, for me, I mean, I look at all 5 games and I say MXGP3, of course, took milestone forward as a company, had various elements that were very surprising about it. You have WRC7, which is stunning in so many ways. You have Mario Kart, that is, in a way, a predictable surprise, but still surpassed expectations.
Yeah.
Wipeout, for me, didn't live up to its potential in terms of the handling. It's not a classic Wipeout pack, though it will have its hardcore fans that will disagree with me. As a classic Wipeout fan, I was left disappointed by the handling model and direction taken. And I think Motorsport Manager 2 does all it could do there. But above all, out of all of them, the game I've enjoyed the most is WRC7. It was a game that surprised me. I've had hours of fun on it. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's brought a load of new fans to the world of WRC as well. It really has surprised everybody, I think, that there's this game that came on the market. A lot of people weren't looking at it. They weren't taking it seriously, and it surpassed everybody's expectations. So certainly I'll go for that as well, WRC7. And I think, so we're all in agreement then. WRC7 is the best surprise of 2017 and wins the VVV award, yay, for 2017. And certainly well done to Kiloton and all the guys.
Amazing game. I mean, I can't wait for WRC8, where they're going to bring it. Probably more tracks, more lengthier tracks as well. And as long as they keep that handling, it's going to be a fantastic title.
Absolutely. Intuitive handling, great graphics, realistic stages, and all the elements they need to support the esports. I think all of that's going to come in the future. And I really look forward to seeing where Kiloton take it. And I'm really pleased to see how the technology has moved forward, from WRC 5, 6, 7. It really has been a step change. But that's it for now, viewers. As for the Best Surprise Award, well done to WRC 7 and Kiloton and Big Ben. In terms of winning that award. We've got lots more awards to come over the next few weeks as well. We're going to be having 1 award a day, so stay tuned for those. But that's it from me for now and the guys, and there'll be more from us very soon. The Team VVV Awards 2018, sponsored by Ben Green Racing and Thrustmaster.